Here are 10 disturbing details from the Arkham games. Please subscribe, trying to get 100k before the end of the year. Follow me on Twitter as well, and let's just start with the first one here. Simon Dark is a DC character who actually exists in Gotham City at the same time Batman is active. I'm sure a lot of you don't know who he is, as he's a very niche character, but an interesting one at that. In Arkham Origins, you can find a sign for the Mendo Soap Company in Coventry. Now, this sign is a reference to the Simon Dark mythos, and let me explain who Simon is before I talk about what the sign references. So Simon Dark is similar to Frankenstein's monster. A medical genius that was a part of an evil cult called Geopopulus created Simon Dark using the stitched together pieces of 20 different boys. Once Simon Dark was created, he didn't know who he was or how he got to Gotham City. He resides and protects his neighborhood called the Village, but as the story progresses, he understands that he was created using science and magic and with the purpose to stop the dark cult, which is Geopopulus, that created him. It's a very dark and creepy story, and it's heavily affiliated with the supernatural element in Gotham City. Simon Dark has a bunch of powers like durability, but more unique ones include reading minds, going to other dimensions, reading the past and futures of people by touching them, supernatural abilities basically. Anyways, it's implied that he does exist in the Arkham universe because of this Mendo Soap Company sign we see in this game. Mendo Soap is a company from the Simon Dark comics, and what they are is a soap bar company. However, Geopopulus, the evil cult in the comics, was revealed in a storyline to have contaminated a shipment of Mendo soap bars by filling them with small demonic creatures that eat the flesh of whoever used it. Kind of an insane storyline. As far as I know, Mendo Soap Company isn't a thing in regular Batman comics, only from Simon Dark's stories. So with this company here, it's implied that Simon Dark perhaps exists as well. Even though you see this company in Origins, you also see the company in Batman Arkham Knight. So the storyline with the demon creatures in the soap may have not happened yet, otherwise I couldn't see this company still being a thing. Now the interesting thing is that Batman and Simon Dark never cross over in the comics. In fact, in the Simon Dark comics, there's a few casual moments that show that yes, Batman and Simon are active in Gotham, but they never cross paths. I heard somewhere, I forget where I think it's mentioned that the reason Batman never meets Simon Dark is because the village neighborhood that Simon protects is the area Batman visits the least. And Simon's role in the comics eventually turns to being more of someone stopping the supernatural from interrupting his section of Gotham, so maybe that plays a factor. It's a very interesting story set in Gotham. Unfortunately, Simon Dark's solo comic series ended. He was never a popular character, but this sign does imply that he perhaps exists or has yet to exist, and the demonic undertone of Gotham has yet to be set in stone. Riddler is a character everyone knows a little bit too much about at this point in the Arkham series. His obsession with being better at everything versus everyone, including Batman, has gone to the point where he's a notable threat for anyone that crosses his path. However, his condition and his obsession doesn't start with Batman. In fact, we can kind of see where his insanity starts to begin, and that's when he's working at GCPD. Yes, Riddler did work with GCPD before becoming the Riddler, working in their cyber crimes division. If you go to the server room in GCPD in Batman Arkham Origins, you can find a bunch of numbers on some of the monitors here in the room. The numbers have been deciphered to be an alphanumeric code that can be decoded with a hex-to-text conversion. When you decipher it, the message reads, "Joining the GCPD was the easiest thing I ever did. I will find out all their dirty little secrets. By the time they know what I know, it will be too late. This is only the beginning." An ominous message by the Riddler showing that he only joined GCPD to learn their secrets and use it to create chaos. And of course, he leaves a clue at GCPD for someone to decipher. It's very interesting. We see Riddler have a complete obsession with Batman, as Batman may be the only person he has not been able to quote-unquote beat, but he likely thinks he has versus everyone else to an extent. This message shows that he has had his compulsive behavior for a long time before Batman, and will go to pretty extensive lengths to do what he needs to do to get what he needs. This message has eerie implications and gives us a more deeper bit of lore into how Riddler's been messed up in his head for quite a while. Jason Woodrue, aka the Fanic Man, exists in the Arkham games and has a strong connection with Poison Ivy, and is also a huge reason, if not the reason, for her becoming Poison Ivy. Jason Woodrue became a metahuman called the Fanic Man, like I said. He has gone by other names before in the comics, but Fanic Man is the most prominent. Anyways, in the Arkham series, he was depicted as a mentor and abuser to Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, and is a leading force for her becoming Poison Ivy, like I said. Similar to Ivy, he's a plant-themed mad scientist and has the power to mentally control plant life. In Batman Arkham Origins and Arkham City, you can find the shop he worked at, Baudelaire, and it's a plant-themed shop that Pamela interned and worked for him at. In Arkham Origins in the Cold Cold Heart DLC, we can see her badge at GothCorp showing that she was invited by GothCorp during that game to be a specialist in whatever job they had for her. She may have been working at Baudelaire during this time. In her bio in Arkham Asylum, it reveals she became Ivy by a science experiment gone wrong, which was the result of Fanic Man's doing. And this is all revealed and more in her audio tapes. Check this out.
Patient interview. Pamela Lillian Isley, November 12th, 11:33 a.m. Good morning, Pamela. How are you today?
Fine. Today is a special day.
What do you mean?
This is the anniversary of my new life. When I found my true self, my destiny.
Are you referring to the event with Dr. Woodrow?
Yes. What else? Of course, at the time I thought Jason had poisoned me. But in retrospect, he did me a huge favor.
And why do you believe what he did has helped you?
He showed me the bigger world. A world I should protect. Of course, my first offer was rejected.
Offer? You tried to kill everyone in Gotham.
Well, sometimes you need to prune back hard in order to make something flourish.
The tapes reveal that she thought he poisoned her, implying that he took advantage of her by using her as a guinea pig for dangerous experiments, basically abusing her. We don't know anything else really about his fate in the Arkham games. Perhaps Ivy let him go, killed him. Maybe he's not a plant-themed monster yet, but maybe he is at this point. We never hear Batman speak about him in the games. He's not necessarily a Batman villain, but he adds just that extra psychopath in Gotham that ruins people's lives and turns them into villains. Something you'll notice about Jason Todd in some scenes with him is that he has an arched back. He's hunched over, sometimes a little hard to notice, but you can see it in his character model here and in some other scenes. Jason has a bit of a hunch, and the reason for his hunched back is because of the Joker's torture. As we see in Arkham Knight, Joker was torturing Jason for a very long time, over a year. And as we can see here, he had him sitting in a chair strapped to barbed wire. He was strapped to barbed wire, and because of that, he wasn't able to sit up straight, and because of that, he has a hunch. It's a very nuanced and small detail, and it's one that's sad to think about, especially for Jason, who already has so much trauma and sadness to handle, but having a physical reminder like this is sad to see. It shows how much hell he went through, and it's a detail that not a lot of people notice, so it's something in particular that hits that much harder. It's something that Jason might not even notice himself, but it's just sad to see. This detail in particular is extremely impressive to me, as Rocksteady really had to go out of their way to incorporate something like this into his character. Just another reason as to feel sad for Jason Todd, and another eerie reminder of how cruel and evil Joker can really be. Harley's obsession with the Joker in the Arkham games was at an all-time high. Even after his death, she still cherished and mourned for him, and loved him till the very end. It got to the point where she started to commit some pretty strange actions. One that I wanted to talk about was the power play Gotham City story in Arkham Knight. You find the story inside Panessa Studios, and inside you'll find this Joker statue. Scanning it reveals a story called Power Play, like I said, where it talks about one of Harley's goons named Scratch. Scratch thought Harley should move on since it's been 6 months since Joker had died. In the story, it's revealed that Harley kisses the statue every night. Scratch was planning to put a bomb inside the statue to kill Harley and end it all. Once Harley was gone, being busy with planning for Gotham's demise with Scarecrow, Scratch went over to the statue to place the bomb. However, when he gets there, the Joker started talking to him, saying "bad idea, Scratchy" multiple times. Scratch started to realize what was going on, but before he was able to make it all out, Harley hit him on the head with a baseball bat, killing him. I put this detail in here because I find it insane how Joker completely shifted and ruined the life of one person, and in doing so, made them obsessed and evil and had such a hold on her that even in death, she does things like this. It's also one of the more realistic details too to me. There's definitely an element of insanity here that applies to real life, doing crazy things for people that aren't healthy for you. It shows how far gone some of these people are, and how weird it can get with a makeshift statue that somebody kisses every night. This detail enforces the fact that Harley may be too far gone for her own right. I've done Calendar Man stories before, but there's a ton of insane, and I mean insane crimes that he reveals himself that essentially makes him one of the most deranged lunatics in Batman's Rogues Gallery. In Arkham City, visiting him at the courtroom, he tells you about different crimes he has done in different holidays, and he reveals some pretty eerie things about what he has done to his mother and father on Mother's and Father's Day respectively. Take a listen to both.
M was for the murderous look she gave me. O meant only she was weak and old. T is for her terror as she fought me. H is for her heart that I now hold. E is for her eyes swiftly dimming. R means rot, and soon rotting she will be. Put them all together, they spell mother, a word that means a corpse to me. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy. I wasn't real close to my dad, and after my first internment at Arkham, he never spoke at all. Seems he wrote me off as a wacko, a loser. So, after I was released, I wanted to clear the air between us. The next Father's Day, I dropped by his place and suggested we go fishing. You ever go fishing with your pop? Well, it's some fun, let me tell you. The two of us out on the water, pulling in one whopper after another. Of course, I was doing the actual pulling. Dad was baiting the hooks. You know, with a finger, a foot, an eye. Whatever I had left of him. Even today, whenever I eat a nice piece of fish, I feel closer to my dear old dad.
So, as you just listened to, it's revealed that Calendar Man murdered his own parents. And it's kind of insane because it sounds like his parents were actually decent people, perhaps. Maybe they weren't perfect, maybe they were bad guys, but with his father's rightful disapproval of Calendar Man's criminal actions, I feel like his parents were actually right in the head and at least good members of society somewhat. Calendar Man, I think, is one of the most sinister and horrifying villains in the Arkham franchise, and he doesn't get talked about enough. The way he speaks about what he has done to people, the way he murdered his mother, turned his father into bait for fishing, it's all insane stuff you would see in R-rated movies. Not only that, but Calendar Man has been known to stalk women, kill children, the list goes on in the Arkham games. More details for another disturbing video in the future. So, in the beginning of Arkham Knight, you interact with this lady here that works at the diner who pours you coffee, as well as this dumb bitch here that tells you about the guy smoking. Well, as we all know, the place goes up in shambles once the fear gas hits and everyone starts killing each other. Well, in the Season of Infamy Shadow War mission, in the hospital, you can actually find their lifeless bodies. Pretty eerie and pretty sad. I mean, the people, especially the lady, seemed really nice, and it's the small interactions you had with them that make them feel genuine and real. It shows how corrupted Gotham is and how dangerous it could be. However, another notable detail in the morgue is Talia. There's a labeled area for Talia al Ghul, but her body is missing. The implications here are endless since the League of Assassins are literally hiding out right next to this room. So to me, it seems obvious as to what Rocksteady was alluding to and what this all means. The League of Assassins took Talia's body, and they may be planning to resurrect her using the Lazarus Pit. However, we destroy the Lazarus Pit in the mission. Or do we? In the mission, you can choose to either save Raish or not save Raish by either giving him the Lazarus Pit or destroying the machine. No matter what choice you do, the last bit of Lazarus Pit that Batman has is either destroyed or used up. So even if they took Talia's body, how would they revive her? Unless there's a specific pit that Batman doesn't know about, who knows? Nyssa, Talia's sister, plays a prominent role in the mission. Maybe she took her sister's body and is trying to bring her back to life. I think either way in how the mission ends, the League of Assassins will always stay a threat in Gotham, always. And if Talia comes back, opens up more situations for Batman. Interesting to think about, but it's very eerie seeing the dead bodies of the people you meet here and Talia's body vanishing. And if the canon choice for the mission is Batman saving Raish, then Raish al Ghul is another looming threat in Gotham that Batman has to look out for. King Kraken exists in the Arkham universe. So in Batman Arkham Origins, going inside the Final Offer ship, inside this room, if you look around, you'll find a large drapery with artwork showing a ship that looks like it's near an island, and in the water here, you'll see this creepy looking figure of King Kraken. King Kraken is a powerfully built costumed criminal who's a recurring enemy for the Wingman and the Club of Heroes, both DC hero groups in the comics, but has also fought Batman on different occasions as well. Kraken's origin was that he was once a professional deep sea diver, but got into an accident that disfigured his face, so he now wears a helmet he once wore for his professional career to hide it. The accident also warped his mind, making him go kind of crazy and turn into a life of crime. It's unknown what the accident was or what his real name even is, leaving him a little bit shrouded in mystery. But he decided to take his helmet and put on a power suit and name himself King Kraken after the mythical sea monster. The power suit gives him incredible strength, and he's also an expert weapon specialist, particularly using a high voltage electric rifle as kind of his signature weapon. In the Arkham games, seeing his design on the drapery here, we can infer that the people that once used his ship found him like this and decided to create this art to remember him. Perhaps they saw him peer out of the water like some kind of monster. That's what I think anyway. There's no way to tell. Maybe King Kraken attacked the crew here. Who knows? But it's pretty creepy yet interesting to think about what exactly happened here. Did Kraken attack the ship? Did he kill anyone? Knowing he lurks in the waters perhaps near Gotham is interesting to think about. Maybe we'll see him one day. In Batman Arkham Origins, some thugs talk about people vanishing after people come to quote-unquote help them. Take a listen.
Hey, you seen any of those anarchy posters?
No? Who's that?
Some new guy says he wants to help us.
Help us how? I mean, this ain't the first time some guys come around promising help, and then we wind up in some mad scientist lab or turned into monsters, or worse.
That's happened to you?
Well, no, not me personally, but some guys I used to know.
Really?
Yes, really. They come around talking about how they found a job, or someone's gonna help them get on their feet, and then poof, never seen again.
Well, maybe that just means it worked. You ever consider that?
Sure, I considered it, but Gotham ain't the kind of place where good things happen to people.
Now, this conversation, to me, lines up a lot with Dr. Young and Titan. Refresher if you didn't know, Dr. Young in the Arkham games creates a Titan formula that can essentially turn people into giant monsters. What these guys say about how people come around to quote-unquote offer them help, and then they vanish, is creepy in itself. Who could these people exactly be? It could be anybody. But if it were to relate to the Arkham games, it could be Dr. Young, like I said, trying to test out her Titan on people she deems expendable. In Arkham Origins, you can find her own room at Lacey Towers with her name labeled on the door. Now, Dr. Young, from what we see of her, is shown to be a little innocent. I mean, she doesn't do anything evil on screen herself, but she was testing this stuff on Bane, and it's implied she helped Joker and Harley in pretty much killing a child. See my original disturbing video to get the details on that. So, willingly or not willingly, she's done a lot of cruel acts. This could be the start of her testing her formula here. Or I'm just completely wrong, and this could allude to anything, but even that is creepy in itself. It's just creepy to think about. Yes, these guys are crooks, but a fate like that I imagine is probably worse than death, and maybe some of these people didn't deserve it, being forgotten and vanished. And perhaps it's not only crooks getting taken, but also just innocent people. It's an interesting open-ended conversation. I wish we learned more of it, but sadly we never do. It's open-ended on purpose, I'm assuming, for your interpretation. This Easter egg was found by Jen Pachi on YouTube. I'll link his original video in the description. However, this detail is something a little bit more nuanced and open to interpretation as well. If you go to Miyagani Island and come up to this alley near the tunnels on the northern section of the map here, you'll find some text on the wall that says you will become as one. And near it, you'll find this pool of blood with a rose near it, most likely referencing the pay your respects scene. Now, there's a lot of theories on what this could mean that the community has brought up. Some people think it's just a nod to the ending of the game, where Bruce and Batman are now dead, and there's just one terrifying being that spawned from it at the end of the game. Others think that it may reference Joker taking over Batman's mind and becoming one. Another theory is that it refers to Bruce joining his parents in death, perhaps referencing the pay your respects scene, which is enforced by this pool of blood with the rose here. Another interesting point that people brought up is that the lettering is similar to the words found by the victims of Professor Pig. But Professor Pig has no victims set in this area, so the theory of him putting the letters here just doesn't really add up. Now, if you remember, Batman Arkham Knight starts with saying that this is how Batman dies. The game wants us to make us think that Batman will die. This text here likely enforces that notion, that Batman himself believes he's going to die and it's going to be the end, and that he may join his parents in death. The text here is also real, if you're wondering. It's not a joke or hallucination, as it will be there after the story is beaten. Now, I am on that theory that this is referencing Bruce Wayne joining his parents in death. I interpret it like this, and it adds to the dark and gloomy life of Bruce, showing that he never truly got over his parents' death, and that in a way, if he does die, that might be the only way he can find true peace at this point. It's sad to think about, but it is what I think this means. One of the harsh realities of Bruce being Batman is that he can only find peace in death, not in life. And those are 10 disturbing details from the Arkham games. I hope you enjoyed the ones I brought up today. Expect another one in like 3 months, I guess. I don't know, maybe shorter than that, but we'll see. But please support the video in any way possible. Like I said, I'm trying to get 100k by the end of the year. That's my dream for the year. I'd really appreciate any subscriptions. Follow me on Twitter as well. I'm trying to get 1k on there by the end of the year. And any support in the video is really appreciated. Stay safe and peace.